Oh, thank you all for tuning into another edition of Outside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D. Lane, where I get to talk about everything that I normally don't get the chance to talk about in a regular sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, which you guys can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iRadio, SoundCloud, Pandora, wherever podcasting app or platform you may be listening to me via. Top 40 quarterbacks in the NFL, quarterback 12 and 11. Quarterback number 12, Dak Prescott. First of all, I want to say this. I love Dak. He's a great leader, tough as nails, really kind of emphasize all those leadership traits you love at the quarterback position, accountable. He's always there, doesn't get hurt too often, right? So I love Dak Prescott. But let's get into this and why he's at 12. Dallas Cowboys have one of the best offensive situations in the NFL. Kellen Moore, top 10 offensive coordinator, play caller in the NFL. You have a top 5 offensive line with guys like Zach Martin, receiving corps last year, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Galloway, Dalton Schultz. So you have a bunch of weapons. And then in the backfield, you have Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. So you have probably a top 10 running back duo in the NFL. So you're talking about you're kind of elite, you're kind of set at every position, and the Dallas Cowboys, you want more. You just want more dominance and you want more efficiency from the offense. So then we get into some of the stuff that Dak doesn't do. The offense could be way more potent. I think there are times where when there are open receivers, clean pocket, he will miss throws. He does not have great anticipation when it comes to throwing balls to running backs like screens and whatnot. In stride, he does not do a great job of that. I also think when we look at the talent of this offense, we saw a guy in Cooper Rush, and I believe this was against the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Cooper Rush throws for 325 yards. So when I talk about how great the offense is, and I know Dallas, they had the number 1 offense in the NFL last year, and it's fantastic. But let's remember, their backup quarterback came in and threw 325 yards against a pretty solid Minnesota Vikings team on Sunday Night Football. So that just shows you what they have in offense. Like I said, offensive line, receivers, running backs, top 10 OC, and Kellen Moore. I think that Dak also the secondary members can lock onto him. His eyes can be easily read. I don't think he also utilizes his pump fake enough to keep people in the secondary off balance. I don't think he does a good job of throwing balls. Sometimes he can lose his consistency. What I mean by that is sometimes receivers are having to adjust for his ball. CeeDee Lamb's having to jump up super high to catch it, or Amari Cooper's having to go down super low to catch it as well, which isn't the best scenario in terms of all the positive stuffs about Dak. Right now that we got out the negative why he's at 12. First of all, he has a great deep ball. He's willing to stand in the gun, take hits, push the ball downfield. Pretty good decision maker, can work the short passing game, good at taking his check downs. The most impressive thing about Dak is his physicality. There can be defensive linemen that get to him in the pocket and he can just shrug him off and escape the pocket. Pretty solid scrambler. When you use him in the QB design run game, he can run through a lot of defenders, though he's not some potent runner like a Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, or a Lamar Jackson. He's a pretty solid runner that you can use some read option stuff with, particularly given his strength. He can throw off his spot. That's something that I think he does do a good job of. He also climbs the pocket fairly well. So when we look at all this, and he has some sidearm ability, right? So is Dak a top 5, 7 quarterback? No, he's definitely not that. I think he's a borderline top 10 quarterback. If you want to have him 10 or 9, I don't have a huge issue with it. Just not for me in terms of the offense that he was given in Dallas and how more potent it should be, right? The anticipation, how defenders can read his eyes, how sometimes he can be a little schizophrenic with his throwing. All that stuff is what kind of holds him back. But like I said, there are a lot of good things he does, including his leadership. Now we get to quarterback number 11, Derek Carr, quite simply the most underrated QB in the NFL. What kind of separated Dak and Derek for me was, while Dak has so much given to him, right? Derek has so little given to him. The Raiders, they have an awful offensive line. Henry Ruggs, his deep threat, went to jail for killing somebody in a DUI, right? Now he's going to have Devontae Adams, and we're going to see what he can do with having Josh McDaniels and all those guys. But Derek has not had the same talent that Dak has had, and Derek's done a phenomenal job. I think he's very good at everything. First of all, Derek Carr willing to stand in the pocket, take hits. He has a very quick release, probably one of the top 5 or 7 quickest releases in the NFL. Derek Carr, while he's not somebody you can run the ball with in the QB run game, he's a pretty solid scrambler. He can get outside of the pocket, has decent feet, and can make some throws on the run. Also, I think he does a good job of moving his feet and throwing as he's moved off the spot in the pocket. He's extremely tough, doesn't wear down. In the leadership, how to handle things, what went down with John Gruden, that takes special leadership. He's also extremely accurate in the middle of the field, very good at precision passing. He's also extremely accurate when it comes to the short passing game, the wide receiver screens, the bubbles, the checkdowns, all of that. And he throws it in stride for his receivers to get yards after the catch. So with that, and Carr goes through his reads, goes through his progressions very well. He's also very good at the line of scrimmage, good at diagnosing plays. He just does not have those sort of elite traits, right, that you would want. It's kind of like Dak, but he does some things better than Dak. But in terms of Derek moving up higher on the list, you just want to see more plays. And I think part of that's his physical limitations. Like he's a solid scrambler, never going to be the scrambler of Mahomes, solid moving off his spot and throwing off when he's moved off his spot, but he's never going to be Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. Has a very good arm, but not an all-time arm like some of these other guys in the NFL. I also think one criticism I would give of Derek is I think he can lose power on his fastball, power on a lot of his throws as pressure is bearing down on him. That would be one thing that I think is a little bit of a criticism of him. Also, I think sometimes he can hang in the pocket for too long because he wants to make a play and he'll take an unnecessary sack and have some bad pocket awareness. But besides that, Derek Carr, more than solid. So top 40 QBs in the NFL, quarterback 12 and 11. Have a great day, everybody, and God bless.